Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Curse of Oak Island. More evidence of Spanish conquistadors and Portuguese sailors emerges on the island. The Curse of Oak Island team has found fresh evidence that points to either Spanish conquistadors or Portuguese sailors having visited the island and depositing a quantity of gold treasure. Things on Oak Island have been hotting up recently, despite the Nova Scotian authorities telling them to cease operations in an important part of the island. The team has been making some really significant finds, mostly involving gold in the Money Pit area, and recently they came across some ancient gunstones and got some fascinating expert analysis. A couple of weeks ago, metal detectorist Gary Drayton was wandering through Lot 16, near the swamp, when he happened to spot a little round stone ball. The eagle-eyed Gary noticed immediately that it appeared to be an old gunstone, kinda like a mini cannonball fired from ancient small cannons. At the time, he tagged and bagged it for future study. On last night's episode, the team handed it to Dr. Ian Spooner for his expert analysis. His first thought was, it's not natural. His second thought was, this is not from here, which means they need to find out where it came from. The other guys had noticed straight away that it was very similar to the gunstone ball discovered last year within the spoils pulled out of a borehole in the Money Pit area. The balls differed in color, but apart from that, they were almost identical in size, texture, and density. The Oak Island guys decided to consult an expert geologist. At this point, Ian suggested he take the two artifacts to another expert who could identify their origin. Marty channeled his inner Captain Picard. Make it so, he told Ian. Later, the guys were joined by a video link to the war room on expert geologist Dr. Robert Rayside, who seemed to have all the answers on the stone's composition. He described the gunstones as olivine-bearing rocks with olivine gabbro and basalt, meaning they came from volcanic material. Rayside continued by confirming that the stone could not have come from Nova Scotia and was most commonly found in volcanic island chains. His best bet was either the Canary Islands, Spanish territory, or the Azores, Portuguese territory, both located on the eastern side of the Atlantic. More evidence of Spanish conquistadors. Gary was first to verbalize what everyone was thinking. Those islands are heavily associated with early transatlantic travel by both the Spanish and Portuguese empires, conquistadors. From the 15th century to the 18th, the Portuguese and the Spanish were constant rivals searching to carve up and loot the natural treasures and resources of South America. The guys have long speculated that a Spanish or Portuguese captain may have stolen and hidden gold on Oak Island to either keep it from their rivals or perhaps their own countryfolk. The chemical composition of recent finds of gold in the Money Pit has indicated that it was Spanish treasure with a South American origin, and recently, a historian told the team that they thought the cobbled stone roadway was built by the Portuguese. Long may the juicy discoveries continue. The air on Oak Island was thick with mystery, the kind that has intrigued treasure hunters and historians for over 2 centuries. The trees stood tall, their branches whispering secrets that only the most determined of explorers could hope to uncover. For years, the island had been a magnet for theories, ranging from the presence of the Knights Templar to the buried riches of Captain Kidd. However, recent discoveries have added new layers to this age-old enigma, evidence suggesting that Spanish conquistadors and Portuguese sailors might have played a role in the island's storied past. As the morning sun cast its golden hue over the island, Rick and Marty Lagina, the modern-day treasure hunters leading the search, were already deep into their latest excavation. Their team had just unearthed a peculiar artifact, a tarnished silver coin bearing the distinct markings of 16th-century Spain. The coin was not an isolated find. Alongside it were fragments of pottery, the glaze and design unmistakably Portuguese in origin. This discovery sparked a flurry of excitement and speculation. The presence of Spanish and Portuguese artifacts on Oak Island suggested a narrative that predated many of the more popular theories. It hinted at a time when European powers were fiercely competing for new lands and hidden wealth. Dr. Helena Fernandez, a historian specializing in Iberian maritime history, was called to the island to examine the finds. She stood by the excavation site, her eyes gleaming with a mix of wonder and scholarly curiosity. "These artifacts tell a story," she said, holding the coin up to the light, "a story of explorers who might have seen Oak Island not just as a strategic point, but as a place worth investing in, perhaps even hiding something of immense value." The team delved deeper into historical records, trying to piece together the puzzle. They found references to an obscure Portuguese admiral, Duarte Coelho, known for his voyages along the North Atlantic coast in the early 1500s. His logs mentioned an island rich in resources, which he referred to as Ilha do Carvalho, or Oak Island. This discovery aligned perfectly with the artifacts, suggesting that Coelho or his men might have been among the first Europeans to set foot on Oak Island. Further evidence emerged when a weathered map, found in an old Spanish monastery, was brought to light. The map, dating back to the early 1600s, depicted the coastline of Nova Scotia, with an X marking an island that bore an uncanny resemblance to Oak Island. Beside the mark were the words Tesoro Escondido, meaning hidden treasure. This tantalizing clue suggested that the Spanish, too, had a vested interest in the island, possibly seeking the same secrets that drew the Portuguese. The Lagina brothers and their team intensified their search, now driven by the tantalizing prospect of uncovering an Iberian connection. Their next major find was even more astonishing: the remnants of a shipwreck, partially buried in the sands of the island's swampy region. The ship's construction was unmistakably European, with design elements that pointed towards early 16th century Portuguese caravels. Among the wreckage, they found navigational instruments, some bearing the crest of the Spanish monarchy. Rick Lagina, standing by the wreckage, couldn't hide his amazement. "We've always known Oak Island held secrets," he said, "but this changes everything. We're not just looking at pirates or secret societies anymore. We're looking at the ambitions of empires." Dr. Fernandez agreed. The presence of both Spanish and Portuguese artifacts suggests that Oak Island was a significant point of interest for these powers. They were not just passing through, they were investing time and resources here. The question is, why? The answer might lie in the mysterious formations known as the Money Pit, a deep shaft discovered in the late 1700s that has been the focal point of treasure hunters' efforts. Theories about its origins and contents have ranged from pirate treasure to the Holy Grail. Now, the possibility that Spanish and Portuguese explorers might have constructed or utilized these structures adds a new dimension to the mystery. As the team continued their excavation, they uncovered more artifacts: a rusted sword of Spanish design, fragments of ornate Portuguese tiles, and an intricately carved wooden cross that bore symbols linked to Iberian secret societies. Each find added a piece to the puzzle, suggesting that Oak Island was more than just a legend. It was a historical confluence of ambitions and secrets. In the midst of these discoveries, a journal was found, preserved in a sealed chest buried deep within the island. Written in archaic Portuguese, it chronicled the journey of a sailor under Duarte Coelho's command. The journal spoke of a grand mission to hide a treasure of immense value, entrusted to them by the Spanish crown, meant to be kept secret until a time of great need. The journal's final entry was particularly poignant. "The island guards its secrets well. We have done our duty, and now we leave our fate to the sands of time. Those who find us know that we have hidden our treasure not just for wealth, but for the future of our nations." With this newfound understanding, the team realized that Oak Island's mystery was far more profound than they had ever imagined. It was not just about treasure, it was about history, legacy, and the enduring human spirit of exploration and secrecy. As the sun set over Oak Island, casting long shadows over the dig site, Rick and Marty Lagina stood together, contemplating their next move. The evidence of Spanish conquistadors and Portuguese sailors had opened a new chapter in the island's legend, one that promised even more thrilling discoveries and deeper insights into the past. The curse of Oak Island was far from being lifted, but with each discovery, They were one step closer to unraveling its enigmatic history.